It's no secret how powerful Trinity Force has become on Zeri, but there's another ADC Koreans have started picking it up on this patch. This new Rek'Sai build is looking absolutely insane as well. We've got all this and much more to cover as we bring you guys 10 of the best new Korean builds for patch 13.11. And just before we get into the builds, if you want to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. Stop wasting your time grinding thousands of games only to see no progress. With SkillCapped, you'll uncover the secrets to climbing ranks fast that only take a few minutes to learn and can be immediately applied in your next game. The best part is it's completely risk-free to try, as you're kept safe with our rank up insurance. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Get the rank you've always wanted by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, let's start things off by covering two new top lane builds. Solo queue games, especially over in Korea, tend to be very fast-paced and early game focused, which has resulted in this rise of a new build for Illaoi. Hullbreaker Rush is becoming increasingly popular ever since it was buffed and works amazing for a champion like Illaoi. The item received 550 gold worth of stats for free back in 13.10 and is an extremely efficient item now. You really don't want to be team fighting with Illaoi. She thrives the most in the side lane where she can take isolated fights and force the enemy team to dive into her. By building Hullbreaker, your 1v1 power becomes incredibly strong, and if the enemy does choose to dive onto you, your chances of winning are extremely high. If the enemy doesn't choose to duel you, it's a win as well, as you've got free reign on the enemy's tower and can amass a ton of gold from splitting and taking down towers. The complete core build consists of a Hullbreaker Rush into Iceborne Gauntlet 2nd and Black Cleaver 3rd. Rune Page is Conqueror with Presence of Mind, Tenacity, and Last Stand, Grab Demolish, and Bone Plating for secondaries. It's not just Illaoi who has been seeing more play with Hullbreaker up in the top lane, as Jax is performing great with it as well. Jax has a super deadly split push build he can look to run right now, which revolves around a Trinity Force Rush into Hullbreaker 2nd. You're an absolute menace in the side lane on this 2-item spike, and in games where your teammates suck and you're the only win condition, opting for this build and playing through the split is a great idea. Another unique adaptation to the setup that way more Korean Jax players run than Western players is taking Grasp instead of Lethal Tempo for the Keystone. This provides Jax with much more potent, quick trade power and allows him to whittle the enemy down easier for the eventual all-in play. You also grab Demolish when running this page, so when combined with Trinity and Hullbreaker, taking down towers is a breeze. This build definitely seems a little troll on paper, but it's actually performing insanely well in 13.11, being Gale Force Rek'Sai. At the time of making this video, Gale has the highest win rate for any mythic item on Rek'Sai over in Korea. Unless you've been living under a rock recently, you'd be aware that Prowler's Claw had its dash removed, so Rek'Sai no longer has that easy access onto targets. That is until now, as you can look to run an offensive core and play Rek'Sai very much like an assassin. After rushing Gale Force, you will want to build the Collector 2nd and an Edge of Night 3rd. Since this build is all about that burst power, don't bother running Conqueror for the Keystone Rune. Opt for Hail of Blades instead, as it will amplify that one-shot power much better. With this build being much more squishy than your standard Rek'Sai core, it's going to work best into squishier enemy comps. Don't run the build if the enemy team is full tank, because you're just going to die in every fight before being able to do anything. Bel'Veth has struggled a bit over the past patch due to the item changes, but there is a new build gaining traction that is seeing a lot of success. About 20% of Korean Bel'Veth players are rushing Black Cleaver and going for a more bruiser style setup. The more popular item combo of Blade and Rage Blade leaves you very squishy, while this new build is going to be much more forgiving. Second item in the build path is Jockshow, and then Wit's End rounds out the core. You're so much more durable with this setup and still have very strong extended fight power due to the ramping effects of both Black Cleaver and Jockshow. You can also look to run Ghost instead of Flash when playing this build, as it's going to offer more power when you're thriving in those drawn out fights. The Rune Page consists of Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Free Boots and Biscuits are the way to go for secondaries. Yasuo builds have been all over the place for the last two patches, but one item the Koreans have really keyed in on is Stormrazor. The pick of Stormrazor in Korea is double that of the Western regions, being played as a rush item in 40% of games. The upfront burst power from this complete core build is far greater than we have seen in the past on Yasuo. After building Stormrazor, you go into Gale Force 2nd and pick up a Bloodthirster 3rd. Energized proc from Stormrazor combined with the active damage from Gale Force allows Yasuo to pick his targets off very easily. You have to remember as well, the energized proc from Stormrazor is charged from attacking and moving. Since Yasuo has so much consistent DPS power and is also very mobile, he stacks the energized attack quicker than most champions. Rune Page you'll want to run with this build is Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. The optimal secondaries are Second Wind and Unflinching. A new build bringing some life back to Corki for 13.11 consists of running the recently buffed Static Shiv. Since the new Static Shiv is a 50% AP ratio on its energized attack, it makes it a great third purchase on Corki. Shiv is currently Corki's highest win rate third item in 13.11, and it's heavily outperforming everything that is more popular. You're going to rush Manamune, go into Luden 2nd, and then finish off with Static 3rd. The Luden's proc combined with the Static Shiv proc provides Corki with some really nice upfront burst power. Not having to waste your Q to shove out waves is really nice as well, well, as you can preserve mana and always have the spell ready to use. If you want to play this poke style of Corki, Static instead of Ravenous Hydra is definitely the way to do it now. Rune page for this build will be First Strike with Free Boots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Grab Taste of Blood and Ultimate Hunter for secondaries. As noted during the intro, there's a new ADC who's popping off with Trinity Force in 13.11, and that champ is Draven. The item has a 30% play rate as a rush over in Korea, while it's only being played in under 10% of games in Western regions. Draven has always done great with Essence Reaver due to his ability to apply the Sheen proc very consistently. The same logic applies to why Trinity Force is so good on him, and it was really the buffs in 13.10 that has made Trinity Force an optimal pickup. The added health and movement speed you get from Trinity Force is a huge bonus over Essence Reaver and allows you to push leads even better. The complete core build you want to run is Trinity Force into the Collector 2nd and Bloodthirster 3rd. For the rune page, roll with Lethal Tempo followed by Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand. Best secondaries are Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter. The buffs to Navori Quick Blades this patch has led to Koreans spamming it as a rush item on their Tristana. The whole idea behind Quick Blades on Trist is that you have near permanent uptime on your Q, especially in the mid to late game. With more AD being added to Quick Blades, it's great for Trist as she gets a bit more upfront damage to make her all-in plays more lethal. The second item in the build path is going to be Phantom Dancer as your only attack speed item. Rounding out the core is Bloodthirster to amplify Tristana's burst potential. Trist can sit back at a very safe distance due to her attack range scaling, so because Bloodthirster provides you with bonus AD when above 50% health, it's a great pickup. The core of Stormrazor and Infinity Edge is still the most popular on Trist, but it's really not performing that well in comparison to the Quick Blades rush. The rune page consists of Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Taste of Blood and Treasure Hunter are the way to go for secondaries. A very unique build that many pro players have been pulling out on their Yuumi this patch consists of running Ardent Sensor as a rush item. Ardent was nerfed in 13.11, but the changes were not enough to drastically reduce its power level. Ardent Sensor is actually performing amazing stat-wise on Yuumi, winning 53% of the time as a rush, which is about 2% higher than the most popular Echoes of Helia. Ardent Sensor is a very cheap pickup at just 2100 gold, and it's the best support item at amplifying your ADC's DPS power. In games where you're off to a great start and are looking to snowball, rushing Ardent is a great play to help you keep the ball rolling, especially when you're paired up with an ADC like Lucian who already has great mobility in his kit. Skipping the more defensive Echoes or Shirelias and going straight into Ardent can work wonders. As for your second item, both Echoes of Helia and Shirelias are viable mythic choices for Yuumi. Third item, Mikael's or Chemtech Putrefier are going to work great depending on the game. For the rune page, grab Airy with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Font of Life and Revitalize are optimal secondaries. A new, very offensive Rakan build has started to see more play in Korean high elo this patch. Rush item remains the same as usual with Shirelias, but the second purchase is where it becomes unique. Imperial Mandate is a really underrated second item on Rakan, as it adds another layer to his all-in power. You've got the 55 ability power from the item itself, which makes your damage stronger, and then the passive amp will always be procced when you dive in and use ultimate on the enemies. If you're able to get a multi-man ultimate off in a team fight, then the bonus damage potential coming out of Mandate is huge. This build will leave you a little more squishy than going something like Zeke's second, but the pick power is much greater, so in games where you are ahead, opting for Mandate is a great idea. Look to run Guardian for the Keystone Rune with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter are the best secondaries. So that wraps up all 10 of the new Korean builds, but if you want to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. With premium courses for every role and skill taught by the best players, SkillCapped is the perfect platform to take your game to the next level. Take our Wave Control course. While you wait for your next game to start, you can learn freezing, fast pushing, slow pushing, bouncing waves. The list goes on, all in just a few minutes to maximize your improvement rate. Or maybe you just like seeing your opponent's health go to zero. Then you'll love our trading course. We even have a skill test at the end so you can see how good you really are. Players just like you are leaving 5-star reviews and raving at how helpful they are. That's not all we offer though, as every week we release 10 brand new Smurf commentaries where a challenger player teaches you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck in. If you're looking for something more personal instead, then we got you covered with one-on-one coaching from our trained challenger experts. All this seem too good to be true? Well, don't worry, we're backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get the rank you've always wanted. Until next time, thanks for watching, and good luck with these new builds.